If you're moving freight into Florida, you've probably heard a lot of opinions. Just bring it into Miami. Jacksonville's better. Tampa only works for certain shipments. And here's the truth. All of those statements can be right or completely wrong, depending on your freight. Tampa is an excellent port for the right operation, and it's a frustrating, expensive choice for the wrong one. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through who Tampa actually works for, who it doesn't, and how to think about this decision the way operators do, not marketers. Here at Warehousing, etc., we are a Tampa-based warehouse that handles short-term freight projects, transloads, cross docks, restacks, and the loads that don't go according to plan. We see the good, the bad, and the how did this even happen side of freight moving through Tampa. So this isn't theory, this is what actually works in real life. Here's where people get this wrong. They think choosing a port is about the ocean rate. In reality, it's about where the freight is actually going, how fast you need to turn equipment, how reliable your receiver is, and what happens when something doesn't go perfectly. Ports don't fail shipments. Bad assumptions during planning do, and Tampa exposes bad assumptions faster than some other ports. So let's start with who Tampa is a great port for. Tampa is a great port if your freight is actually staying in Central Florida. That means Tampa Bay, Lakeland, Polk County, Orlando, or anywhere along the I-4 corridor. When your inbound freight lands close to where it's consumed or distributed, you reduce inland miles, dray costs, and scheduling complexity. That's where Tampa shines. If your freight lives in this region, Tampa often makes the entire supply chain simpler, not just cheaper on paper. Another group Tampa works well for is shippers who plan for reality, not perfection. Receivers aren't perfect. Appointments get missed, docks get backed up, product shows up shifted or overweight, or someone says, "We're not ready today." If you build your operation with a plan B in your back pocket, like having a cross-dock or short-term warehouse, Tampa becomes very manageable. If you don't have a backup plan, Tampa can feel unforgiving. Tampa is also a strong option for freight that doesn't behave nicely or look normal. We are talking about project cargo, freight that is odd sizes, floor-loaded containers, and shipments that need labor, equipment, or time to sort out. But that doesn't mean every warehouse can handle this kind of freight, because they can't. But the Tampa region has experienced operators who deal with these situations every day. If your freight needs hands-on handling, Tampa can be a place where problems get solved instead of created. Another good fit, when planned correctly, is time-sensitive or refrigerated freight. Tampa has cold chain infrastructure in the region, but the port doesn't protect your cold chain. Your planning does. If you've got a tight schedule, proper appointments, and a clear handoff plan, Tampa can work well. If you assume refrigeration just works, you're taking unnecessary risk. Tampa can also work well if you care about truck efficiency. When freight stays local, Tampa can support shorter runs, fewer handoffs, and less wasted time for drivers. That advantage disappears the moment freight has nowhere to go. Which brings us to the other side of the conversation. Here's who Tampa is not a great port for. If your top priority is having the widest possible range of sailings and carriers, Tampa may not be your best choice. Larger ports typically offer more frequency and routing options. For some supply chains, that matters more than anything else. The mistake is pretending all ports offer the same optionality. They don't. Another situation where Tampa may not be a great fit is when your freight isn't actually staying in Central Florida. If your freight is really destined for South Florida, another state, or a long inland move, you need to run the math carefully. Tampa's advantage is regional efficiency, not being a universal gateway. If you're forcing freight to move away from where Tampa is strongest, you may be adding cost and complexity for no reason. If this happens, you should consider if another port will better serve your need. Tampa is also not a great fit if you have zero tolerance for variability. If your operation assumes every receiver is ready, every load is perfect, and nothing ever needs a backup plan, then any port will eventually punish you. Tampa just makes it obvious faster. Tampa works best for operators who say, if something goes wrong, we already know what we're doing. And here's another big one. Tampa isn't a great fit if you assume all warehouses are interchangeable. Not every warehouse can handle oversized or overweight pallets, rework shifted freight, accept same-day trucks, or put labor on a problem quickly. If you treat warehousing like a commodity, Tampa can feel unpredictable. If you choose partners intentionally, it becomes much smoother. So if you're deciding whether Tampa is right for you, here's a simple 6-question fit test. First, where is the freight actually going after the port? If it's local or Central Florida, Tampa is usually a strong candidate. Second, how tight is the delivery schedule? The tighter the schedule, the more important your backup plan becomes. Third, how reliable is the receiver? Be honest, not optimistic. Fourth, is the freight standard or problematic? Floor-loaded, heavy, or awkward freight needs specialists. Fifth, what happens if today doesn't go as planned? If you don't have an answer, that's the risk. And sixth, are you optimizing for ocean cost or total landed cost? Because the cheapest ocean rate can easily become the most expensive decision. Answer those 6 questions honestly, and the right port choice usually becomes clear. Now, if you're already shipping into Tampa, here's what actually helps. You should have an overflow option lined up, even if you think you won't need it. That means a warehouse that can receive the container, transload it, hold it short term, or cross-dock it quickly. You should know your risk triggers. If the freight is overweight, floor-loaded, time-sensitive, or going to a new receiver, you should already know who you're calling if things go sideways, and have your shipment information ready. When something breaks, speed matters. Container number, BOL, commodity, packaging type, weights, and a clear explanation of what actually went wrong. That's how problems get solved quickly instead of turning into chaos. So here's the final takeaway. Tampa is a great port for you if your freight stays in Central Florida, you value operational flexibility, you plan for reality instead of perfection, and you choose partners intentionally. Tampa is not a great port for you if you need maximum sailing options above all else, your freight is headed far outside the region, or you rely on hope to get your shipment delivered on time instead of backup plans. If this helped you think differently about your routing decisions, subscribe. We're going to keep making content that explains how freight actually moves through Tampa without the fluff. And if you're moving freight through Tampa right now and want a second opinion, drop a comment with where it's coming from, where it's going, and what the constraint is. We are warehousing, etc., and we'll see you in the next one.